Journalist Olivia Nuzzi was hit with a lot of negative fallout over her romantic relationship with RFK Jr. Her new book, it's called American Canto, is getting panned by the Washington Post and the New York Times. Hey, if I want to read a juicy book, I'll stick with Sunny Hostin's books.
Oh, thank you, Joy.
Here's Nuzzi on Tim Miller's podcast, The Bulwark. Watch.
You said you helped him, right, during the campaign? And
I mean, I write about it. I write about what I did wrong. Yeah.
And it's like, once you've done that, like, you didn't, you know, there, like, you cease to have become like a journalistic actor, and like you're
I lost my
with
job,
it.
right? I was fired.
Right.
I was fired, and I was in hiding, and I was afraid.
Scared? Were you scared? Yeah.
I was terrified.
Of
Yeah.
what?
I mean, I write in the book about, you know, I was terrified of the man I did not marry. And I was very worried about people knowing where I was. And
I'm
we
sorry.
pause this? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we can pause it.
She also thanked Monica Lewinsky. Monica got thanked for she reached out to Nuzzi, who a lot of people think got dragged through the mud over her affair with Bill Clinton. A lot of people say that. Yeah. That he got away, you know, easily, and she didn't.
I think that if the Monica scandal, the Clinton scandal with Monica had occurred after the Me Too movement, he probably would have been impeached. I think we see things in a different light, and by we, I mean people who don't follow Donald Trump, because they don't see anything. But, you know, most other people who did listen to women, who took the Me Too movement to heart, I think, I include myself in that. I see things differently today than I did when the Bill Clinton thing happened.
So you would think it's worse now than it was?
Look, I think because we like Bill Clinton, because he's so charismatic, because so many people think he was a good president, I think people were willing to give him a pass. But I think he would have been judged differently after Me Too, unless he was Donald Trump and a Republican.
But talking about Olivia
Nuzzi,
you know, I've only read excerpts of her book. It's poorly written, in my opinion. And that's why the New York Times and the Washington Post has come out against it.
She means that in a nice way, though.
You know, and the other thing is, you know, I see journalists as public servants in a sense, and I don't think that she is. I think that she sort of took this payday, wrote a memoir that didn't disclose everything. It's very self-serving. And when you know something about someone like RFK Jr., who has a hearing to become the Secretary of Health, and you don't provide that information even in writing or to the committee, I think that you have disgraced yourself.
Well,
as
he
a
called her
journalist,
on it, and she got upset.
I think she's disgraced herself. And I'll also say this, it reminds me of John Bolton. Remember we had him on the show, Joy?
Yeah.
And he got a $2 million book deal, and he knew all of these things about President Trump while President Trump, during the impeachment hearing.
Yeah.
And rather than testify, he wrote a book and made $2 million. I think he failed the American people in much the same way that she has.
Well, I think you can't eliminate a double standard when it comes to men and women in general, because, you know, hopefully the world is headed in the right direction, but we still have work to do. But I would say that with her, any kind of flack she's getting is because it directly involved her job. And then you have a journalist coming in, and a female journalist at that, because I think women are always up against the assumption that anything we get is because we must have slept our way to the top. So she played into
that's
that.
True.
She Joy, and it took you a few different people. But I think that with her, it was not only the journalism and staying objective and reporting honestly, it was a knock on women, because we're already up against that trope. But I don't think that with RFK Jr. and things, I don't think he's doing that well, because when you're the president hired people that are unqualified and not good at their job. Here's someone who is messing with our vaccines for children.
Yes.
Every day they're changing.
Measles are on the rise.
Yes, and so I would honestly question her choice in men more than a lot of the other parts. Is that, you know, RFK Jr., not impressive to me.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I think one thing we can all agree on is that Monica Lewinsky was so egregiously mistreated by the tabloid media in the 90s. And I think if that scandal had happened decades later, she would have been treated more fairly. She was 23 years old.
Yeah, we now know the brain is not formed until when?
And she was torn
30?
apart. They were commenting on her body, the names, and all of that. And I love that she's emerged as this anti-public bullying advocate, and she's reached out to other women. Listen, I know that all parties involved in this, except gratefully, I don't know RFK Jr., and I always find it uncomfortable to talk about, but I'll say this. Olivia is getting the scrutiny that she deserves because of her actions, but it is glaring that the men involved are not getting that scrutiny. RFK, where I disagree here, Sarah, is RFK Jr. does not care about this scandal. He's more powerful than he's ever been. He's rolling back funds to cancer research. He's likely changing the vaccine schedule. Nobody's calling for his resignation, and if they did, they'd be laughed at.
But
no
his
one
affair
cares.
didn't make him unqualified. His brain made him unqualified. So I think that's the difference I'm making.
How can an affair make a cabinet secretary unqualified?
Can I finish my point
when
here?
we have Donald Trump as president?
No, but I already made my point that his thoughts are his problem and his disqualification. Hers directly affected her job.
And
that's what I'm saying.
I think that's an important distinction.
No,
but listen,
Olivia.
The men are not getting any sort of consequences here. So also involved in this is her ex, Ryan Lizza, who's written these series of stories on his Substack, revealing the most intimate details about his former fiance. He's also revealed information about the stories that the information she had at the time.
Yeah.
I would argue he had as much of a journalistic obligation to put that information out a year ago when RFK was standing up for Senate confirmation, not waiting so he can hide behind a paywall and get paid after the fact.
But you know, the thing is, she is the one that was doing a profile on RFK Jr. She says that it was a digital relationship, that they didn't have sex. It was like an emotional affair.
I think it's impropriety all around. I want to be clear.
But she also allegedly slept with Mark Sanford when he was running for president.
Well, that's what Ryan said.
Yeah, according to Ryan, when she was writing a story about him. And so that is against every journalistic standard. It's unethical.
But can I say one more thing on this? Because what gets lost in this culture is there has been so much ink spilled around Olivia, RFK, and all that. What should be talked about is Tatiana Schlossberg, who wrote a piece in The New Yorker about how she's terminally ill with cancer. And she directly calls out her cousin, RFK Jr., on how him slashing cancer research could hurt her and other women like her. That's what should be driving the political discourse around RFK Jr., not who he may have had a digital affair with.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.